Welcome back, and we all know that during his visit to the German capital, Berlin, Minister of Tourism and Antiquities Dr. Khalid Al-Anani began his official meetings by holding a meeting with Thomas Barrett, Minister of State at the Ministry of Economy and Energy and Commissioner of the Federal Government for Tourism in Germany. And the meeting came within the framework of intensive official meetings held by Al-Anani in German capital, Berlin, to accelerate the tourist movement to Egypt. And to shed more light, we're very delighted to be having with us here live in the studio Mr. El-Sayed Ali Taha. He's a researcher, historian, and tourism expert. Good morning, Mr. Sayed. First, how do you see the importance and the timing of the visit to Berlin, the German capital?
Yeah, actually there are a lot of activities going on by the Minister of Antiquities and Tourism, also by the Secretary of the Supreme Council of Antiquities at the same time. As Minister of Tourism, he is playing now the role as a Minister of Tourism in Germany. In the same time in France, the Secretary of the Supreme Council of Antiquities in France. They get back some 114 pieces, artifacts being stolen from Egypt with the passing of time. And after a big negotiation had passed between the two governments, we have those artifacts back. All the activities going on and all this active work help a lot, because the conference or the meeting in Germany was under the line of the title Egypt. The title of the meeting was Egypt. And the talk of the Ministry of Tourism was the main talk of this meeting. He's been talking about the eco-lodge that we have arranged in Egypt, especially in Sharm el-Sheikh and in Hurghada. And nowadays there are new resorts that being added to the tourism market, like in Safaga, Marsa Alam, and now they are talking about Al Qusair as well. All these resorts on the Red Sea coast will add value to the tourism market, and in the same time will attract different types of tourists. We knew that the Italian, they've been very fashionable in this field, and they've been very interested in the field that, let's say, when Sharm el-Sheikh was started a long time ago, was the Italian, the first people who came and they established resorts and tourism offices and the diving centers. Also, when Sharm el-Sheikh became a bit crowded with tourists and with different nationalities, the Italian moved to the south, further to the south of Hurghada, to Safaga, and then to Marsa Alam. There are some virgin places never touched by divers, still discovered, discovered by the Italian in Marsa Alam and now in Qusair as well. In Egypt, we have the whole types of tourism. If you are heading to the leisure tourism, we have a lot, and nowadays we are arranging a new resorts in Alamein. This is will be a mega project there, and they are trying to create, because in this Mediterranean coast, we have a lot of buildings that we use just for a couple or 3 months a year. We need to attract a lot of tourists to come, especially in winter time. In winter time, it's a very sunny place and very good weather for the European people, that they have snow in their countries and they can. I think we can imitate what is going on in Spain, for example. In Spain, we have a lot of English communities lives permanent in Spain. The famous place in Spain, Costa Brava. We can call them, and we have a good relation with Spain, and we knew what they had done to establish this new community, and especially The cost of life in Spain, comparing with England, cheap. Especially those people, old people, they are in pension. They get their pension from England, for example, in sterling pounds, and they spend it in euro in Spain. That's very good for them. Even the Spanish people, they are complaining that this is cost a lot and made the prices high and so on, because those people, they are spending a lot of money. This is a good experiment that we can apply here in Egypt, especially in the Mediterranean coast, like places in Alamein and in, what we call it, Marina, and all this coast from Alexandria further to the west up to Alamein. The new project will attract as well the projects that they are ranging in, like for example in Fayoum Oasis. They are going to establish, or they already established some of the eco-lodge hotels. This is very interesting because some people, they like to get away from the noisy life and the crowded life, and to find a place very quiet and very natural. Those, for example, resorts, or the ecological resorts, you can find like a little studio or a little chalet, or like a kiosk made out of reeds, and the roof of wood, and they use the natural things. I admire what was happened in a place nearby El Fayoum. It's a little village called Tunis. There is a lady, God bless her, she died about a year ago.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. She arranged a very good project for the local people there. That
And
pottery,
in particular children.
yeah, especially, yeah, now we have a very professional young generation working in this pottery making, and it's very good that for exportation as well, not only for the local consume, that we export some artifacts done there in in Tunis. This is a very nice project. Look at those other projects that we can arrange in Sinai, for example, especially the local craftsmen in Sinai, and also in Siwa and Mars Matruh. It's very known places with those local artisans, and they are working their own things that we can't find anywhere else. Bedouin in Sinai, and those people in Siwa and Marsa Matruh. There are another places that we can develop a lot. That what was done when we joined the project of the United Nations that nowadays recently was arranged, and we offered what we have in this project. Now I don't remember exactly the title of this project, but it's gone out of my mind. But it's a project Call Now, or something like that. It's under this title, Call Now. It's talking about what we have and what we can offer in our country. For example, one of the meetings in Germany was a meeting of the Ministry of Health in Germany. Dr. Anani explained to him what we have done regarding the vaccination and those people who are working in tourism. We covered more than 65% of those people who are working in tourism, especially in the resorts in Sharm el-Sheikh and in Hurghada and so on. Now they are heading to arrange the vaccine for those people who are working in tourism, especially in Aswan and in Luxor. And after that, after we finish, we are going to head or to continue this project with, or the vaccine project with those people who are working in those cities, especially those people who are touching the tourism directly. And then to those people who are touching this industry indirectly. And so on. This is very important. And also he explained about the regulation was done, especially in the closed places like the museums. For example, look at that new museum was inaugurated, the Museum of Civilization and Fustat. And the new museums that are going to arrange is the GEM, or the Grand Egyptian Museum, in nearby the pyramids area. All these activities, the Minister of Tourism and Antiquities, he explained it to those people he meet in Germany. Also, I been reading about this topic. I found that the one of the assistant of the minister, she been inspecting some hotels and the regulations and the precautions that taken by those hotels regarding to tourism and regarding to what was done to enhance and to help this field a lot. Some new news taken off nowadays. We are going to receive a new charter from Spain with the end of the next month. That charter will kind of two planes full of tourists. They are going to hit directly from Madrid or from Barcelona to Luxor. That will help a lot. Especially now we are trying to show what we have done, especially regarding to COVID-19, to attract more tourists. And after we finish all this, especially in the foreign countries and in the here in Egypt, the vaccination work will help a lot. But let's say since March this year, we started to receive tourists. It's kind of individual tourism, but it is very good than the last year. Especially when we are talking about a new tourism fields and new tourism markets.
Exactly, and this was going to be my second question to you. How do you see the impact of such visits, that particular timing amidst pandemics, that would encourage and empower the flow of tourism to Egypt, especially to certain places like Tunis and Fayoum? I mean, not the very popular places or the stereotyped one, but other places that are not regularly visited.
Yeah. Then we have a kind of tourism that we call them repeaters. Those people who visited the classic programs, let's say Luxor, Aswan, and pyramids, and so on, when they come back to visit Egypt, they look for a new places. For example, nowadays it's very fashionable when tourists come, he wants to visit that new museum of the mummies and the Museum of Civilization because of what we have done. That helped a lot. Also, those people who likes to do safari programs, but safari programs due to some security circumstances, it's not very common nowadays. In Fayoum area, there is another place very known, the Whales Valley. That fossils of whales, more than 40 million years of age, is very interesting. But when you go there, you need a 4x4 car because it's a sandy place. And some people, they practice something similar to ski on sand, a very soft sand.
And this is very popular also.
Very popular and very common, and attract local tourism, not only foreign tourism. Also, what we can do nowadays, there is a paved road nowadays between Idfu and Mars Alam. This road full of like natural, let's say something like, you know, ecology, different types of trees, different types of shapes of mountains, different types of. I've been there twice, and once I have seen gazelles in those deers on those, you know. Something like a little forest, not a big forest as we use this word for forest, but it's something gives you something different from that we used to do. Nowadays, the people, they like to hit something new, not only the cultural tourism. Cultural tourism is very fashionable all over the world, and that the main source of tourism for us here in Egypt. For example, a couple of weeks I had a family, like a individual group. and they wanted to see the Red Sea. So I suggested for them one day in Sokhna. They went to Sokhna resort and they stayed there for a one-day trip. And that helped a lot as well, so they can develop not only the cultural tourism, also the leisure tourism and the other type of tourism. All this will help a lot to hit a new marks. For example, this year we have received a lot of tourism and tourists from Romania. Romania, they consider Egypt as a green zone due regarding to COVID-19. I mean, if you want to travel from Egypt to Romania, you don't need to do the PCR or whatever.
Just have to get certificate that I'm vaccinated.
When you come from Romania to Egypt, yes, you have to. But when you go from Egypt to Romania, no, because Romania they consider Egypt as a green zone, and this is very good. Now we have 2 or 3 planes weekly. They head to Hurghada, full of tourists from Romania, and from Hurghada they head to Luxor for one-day trip, or sometimes they do the Nile cruise between Luxor and Aswan. Now we have also new tourists from Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan as well.
Those types of tourists were not used to those type of tourists. They weren't very common.
They weren't very common.
So
it's very new markets that started. Yeah.
That were because of the situation. I mean, because for natural reasons, or we have updated our plans and
frankly, because of the economic reasons. Because now it's not that expensive as we used to have. There are charter flights. Those charter flights have very, very economic prices, and this help a lot. And also those hotels in Hurghada, they offer all-inclusive. I mean, staying, eating, beverage, all inclusive. And you can enjoy the Red Sea also in the resorts. And as they are staying there for 1 week, it's a good chance for them to do a one-day trip to Cairo or one-day trip to Luxor. And nowadays, the new museum in Hurghada will help to give them a general idea about the ancient culture. And also, the new museum in Sharm el-Sheikh help in this. And we have inaugurated another museum in the airport for those transit passengers. It will help a lot in this field.
Also, the Minister of Tourism and Antiquities, Khalid Al-Anani, spoke about his meeting with a large number of representatives, major German foreign operation during the participation as a keynote speaker at the round table recognized by the German Near the Middle East Association. The name, I guess, NIMOV, under the title Egypt. How important was this round table? And we only have like 2 minutes left.
Yeah. Of course, Germany is a very old market known in tourism in Egypt. We used to have a lot of tourists in Germany, and I have a lot of colleagues talking or speaking in German language, and they are very professional in this field as well. Now this meeting will help a lot to get back the German tourists as we used to have in the old days. We used to have charter flights from Germany to Luxor, and they do 1 week as a Nile cruise visiting all these antiquities. And some of them, they head to Hurghada as well and Sharm el-Sheikh. That will helps a lot in this field.
Right, and I guess by this final note, hopefully tourism is going to take its course on expanding again and flourishing. Inshallah, bi'ithnillah. And I guess Mr. Said Ali Taha, you are a researcher, historian, and tourism expert. Would like to thank you so much for coming over. Thank you for coming, and best of luck. And I guess we're going to go to a short break, and we'll come to continue the breakfast show, so stay with us.